So game 1 goes to Max Tietze.
Yeah, on the back of Stoneforge Mystic. Just a naked Stoneforge, no equipment. Just kind of
naked.
pinging for 1, and that was enough. We didn't see the sequence that led up to that point, but when we joined the game, I believe Joe was at 5. So it didn't take too much from the Mystic, especially considering Joe had to crack 2 fetch lands to try to find an answer.
Well, let's go to the sideboards here. These gentlemen sideboarding for the first time in this match, despite being pretty much halfway through the round. Well, what's going on here? What do you bring in if you are Max Tietze, the aggressive deck in this matchup? He's got things that aren't really going to fit the bill. Swords to Plowshares, Rest in Peace, Meddling Mage. I've seen a lot more Meddling Mages recently in Legacy. I really like that. Aha! Sword of Feast and Famine. Definitely.
That's a good one.
Yeah. Bring that in. That's a fantastic piece of equipment to tutor up with your Stoneforge Mystic. Puts a lot of pressure on Joe, especially with the discard ability. Wear and Tear. I think this is a fantastic card for this matchup, right?
Well, yeah, he can take out Counterbalance top.
You're probably not going to be able to hit the top.
Right.
But the important thing is
he can target the top anyway.
Yeah.
He can disrupt the combo of Counterbalance top, at least. On the other side, looking at Joe's Miracle deck, he's got access to 2 Red Elemental Blasts and a Pyroblast. Cheap ways to interact with Max's counter spells and blue spells are very nice. He's also got 2 copies of Wear and Tear, which can handle those Stoneforge Mystic shenanigans that we're likely to see from Max. He's got an Engineered Explosives, which is pretty reasonable.
It's another good thing to have.
Just 1 copy, and he's got a Flusterstorm as well if he wants another cheap counter spell. Looks like those would be the most likely cards to bring in here.
So the reason I like Wear and Tear here is not just because it can target 2 things and take them out. You know, that's card advantage if you can manage to pull that off on a Sensei's Divining Top. But the converted mana cost, if you fuse this thing, is combined. So that would be 3. A white for Wear, and is it Wear? No, sorry. Wear is
the red one.
Where's the red one? Yeah, Wear is red and 1, and then Tear is white. So converted mana cost is 3. That's actually a mana cost that is not too prevalent in Legacy or in the Miracles deck.
Yeah, in the Miracles deck,
most of the stuff is 1 and 2.
Right. Joe's deck does have a reasonable number of 3s, probably more than you usually see. He's got 3 Vendilion Click. He's got 2 Entreat the Angels, which have the X in the cost, but otherwise their converted mana cost is 3. So that's 5 cards, and it appears that those are the only 5, but still he does have the ability to potentially counter a Wear and Tear, a fused Wear and Tear. He does have a 3rd copy of Entreat the Angels in the board, which he could possibly bring in here, so he would have 6 cards that could counter it.
Entreat the Angels is going to be a very important card for Joe. I mean, obviously it's his win condition, but it's a fast win condition.
Yeah.
These decks, these counter-top decks in the past, I've seen players like Adam Prozac play it, and their win condition has often been Trinket Mage attacking over and over.
Yeah.
And that can take a while. So Entreat the Angel is often a 1-shot kill, maybe a 2-attack kill. Yeah. So even though it's a control deck, it can just turn the corner almost immediately and finish a game off with Joe being down game 1 here and 24 minutes left on the clock. That's going to be a key.
Yeah, that's why I love the Miracles deck, and we'll see if Joe can pull that off. Max Tietze leads off with a Delver of Secrets. Joe, just land go so far. He did bring in that Engineered Explosives. He's going to go ahead and cast that right now, and
casting
I believe
it for 0.
So that will deal with any flipped Delvers that are in his future. So Max now can't really daze it, right? So it resolves. And Max untaps, looks at his top.
So now, if you're Max here, do you even bother flipping this? It's just going to get destroyed. Why not just beat down with a 1/1 for a while?
And that may be what he's going with, because it did look like a spell. We didn't get a great look at it. It's possible I'm wrong. But
yeah, he looked at that card for a while and thought about it, so I think it was a spell, and he was thinking about, do I actually even want to flip this thing?
So Delver stays as a 1/1, and
He
it
gets
looks like
another
Max
one.
is going to go ahead and go for
I
another
think he's
Delver.
going to beat down with the 1/1 army here.
At this point, I think they're just going to be 1/1s. The other route could be...
Oh, Joe looks at his top card, and it's a miracle. It is Terminus. He's going to respond to the trigger with the fetch land and cast it for a single white. Not bad.
Finds a basic plains to play around the wastelands so prevalent in Delver. Very common in the Delver decks. And Terminus is now on the stack. So now we're going to see a Force of Will, a little counter war, I think. Force of Will from Max to counter that Terminus. Didn't see what he removed. There we go. Looks like a Flusterstorm was exiled to Force of Will. And Joe's just going to cast his Flusterstorm and says, yeah.
Lots of storm copies.
Terminus resolve, Terminus resolve. So there go the Delvers to the bottom.
But now Joe's got engineered explosives on 0.
Right, which
not
is
really going to do much.
At least not for a while. If Max finds another couple of Delvers, it could do something. There's a lot of shuffling in Legacy. He could find the same 2 Delvers over again. In fact, he's going to go ahead and shuffle his library right now as he casts and resolves Stoneforge Mystic to tutor up an equipment and Sword of Feast and Famine. Yeah.
Yeah, this equipment is really a control killer. I mean, the triggered ability, it's going to let Max play creatures on his turn and then untap and cast some spells, either library manipulation or have counter magic up, and just picking away at Joe's hand.
Yeah, being able to play spells and then still have have mana available for counter spells is huge in these kind of it's a tempo deck. It's kind of aggro control, I guess, if you think of it. It's not aggro control because it's not control at all, but it's protect. Yeah, counter slivers, I guess, is another way to look at it. He's playing creatures and he's able to protect them. So Joe passes the turn with no land drop, and Max main phases the Sword of Feast and Famine, it looks like. Passes back to Joe. Joe draws Misty Rainforest.
Yeah, it's very, very, very possible that Max saw the Vendilion clicks in Joe's deck in game 1, so he wants to make sure to play around that. Joe missed his 3rd land drop critically. Finds one now, but it's too late.
Yeah, now Stoneforge Mystic bring in the beats with that Sword of Feast and Famine. And Misty Rainforest being cracked, finds a Volcanic Island from Joe.
Volcanic Island. That's
That
a little
gives
bit of
him-
extra spice. Okay, so
Yeah.
Joe also did bring in the Wear and Tear.
Yeah, so that allows him to cast Red Elemental Blast, Pyroblast, Wear and Tear, and often Blood Moon, which I don't see in his list, but that's sometimes in these lists.
So Joe wears the Sword of Feast and Famine.
That the Stoneforge was wearing, right?
Yeah, see, you knew where I was going.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. I didn't want to finish that joke myself. It was so bad. I apologize. All right, now once again, a 1/2 Stoneforge Mystic. We saw this in game 1 finish it off for Max. It has a little bit more work to do this game. And Max has a little bit more work to do. He needs to find a land and some more threats.
He does appear to have another Delver, at least one more Delver in hand. But that Engineered Explosives kind of makes things awkward for him if he wants to flip them.
Yeah,
So
I guess the Explosives is fine as a defense against losing quickly
yeah.
to an Insectile Aberration, making the
see.
Delver stay in face down mode.
Or face-up mode.
Yeah, I'm just mixing things up now.
So Delver of Secrets is the play from Max. Passes back to Joe. Joe is going to attempt to resolve, and he does successfully resolve Sensei's Divining Top.
He paused there, seeing if Max was going to cast a counterspell of some kind. Sensei's Divining Top, very hard to deal with. The stack is one of the few times you get a chance to interact with it. But not this time.
So here, Max's turn. He's got a couple of guys with 1 power. He's going to see if he can...
Oh!
Wow. Okay, so Wear and Tear from Max. Looks like he's going to wear the Engineered Explosives.
I do not recommend wearing explosives.
No, that seems dangerous.
But he does that to clear the way to possibly flip the Delver. Does not do so this turn. But yeah, he did not want to keep beating down with a 1/2 and a 1/1. wants to upgrade to a 3/2 flyer.
Yeah, that was an upkeep wear and tear to try to flip the Delver.
Joe's going to spin the top.
Sees Brainstorm. Looks like Counterbalance. Defining Top's buddy. Counterbalance there.
And what a perfect card name, really. Sensei's Divining Top. The fact that when you activate it, you get to say spin the top.
Right.
I mean, what if it had been named anything else? Would we be saying it? Like, what if it was Sensei's mirror? Would we say he's looking in the mirror?
Yeah, we would.
It doesn't sound as good.
It doesn't sound as good.
And as you said, Joe did find that counterbalance and assembles his combo.
That's right, Soul Bond.
Yeah, he puts them right together.
Yeah, that's always what I do. I say Soul Bond.
Really?
It's just, it seems like they should be soul bonded, right? It just feels that
Well,
way.
show us, Max. Max is flipping the Delver.
And Swords to Plowshares, says Joe.
So
Just in response to the flip trigger?
Yeah, there may be some question. They may be talking about whether he wanted to do it before or after his insectile aberration.
We'll find out depending on how much life Max gains.
And I still want to know what that card was.
Yeah, we didn't get to see it. Max showed it to Joe, but not us. So it looks like it was post flip. Max gained 3 life. And Stoneforge Mystic going to work yet again into the red zone.
12-turn clock. That's not even a clock. It's like a sundial.
Very, very nice, yeah.
Sundial is the time walk art. The alternate art time walk.
Yeah, like the
planeswalker walking on that sundial. Very beautiful. No time walks here, though. This is Legacy, not Vintage. And I think we're adding another Squire.
Looks like it. Yeah, Max taps 2. He's got a Stoneforge Mystic at the front of his hand. There's Stoneforge Mystic on the stack.
1/2 for 2.
So we can...
He's going to search, though.
Yeah, Joe knows the top of his library doesn't counter the Mystic because he has already spun his top for the turn. So says, all right, yeah, your Stoneforge resolves. That's fine. Now he's going to need to find an answer to Batterskull.
Yeah, even though Max is on 2 lands, that Batterskull a huge threat because the Stoneforge Mystic can use its activated ability to put it onto the battlefield.
Now what would be decent is if Joe can find a Terminus, and I'm saying that because I know he has a Terminus in the top few cards of his library. He can get the Stoneforge Mystics off the board before Max untaps. But yeah, that would be the play. That would be what he'd like to do.
If he has a Terminus, he
needed to cast it there.
I think he's better off just letting the Batterskull hit the field and then also get rid of the Germ, because then it costs Max a turn to return the Batterskull and then replay it later, hard casting it.
Yeah, the Terminus is the answer one way or another.
No, he's going to go for it now. I mean, this works either way because now Max cannot respond with a Batterskull. The Germ would just die anyway. I kind of like letting the Germ
Batterskull hit play.
Just waste Max's mana at some point.
So, Geist of St. Traff is the follow-up play post-Terminus from Max Tietze, and
I guess that doesn't work because he's got other creatures. Then he could just suit up the Geist at some point later.
Yeah, I guess the scary thing is just Batterskull in general, one way or another, is going to be scary.
It's scary, yeah.
If it's on the table at all. All right,
Joe maybe wants a chance to counter it later. Does he have any 5s? He's got Force of Will, yeah.
He does, yeah. And another Terminus from
back
Joe
to back
Lossett to deal with the Geist of St. Traff.
That's very important, the Hexproof Geist.
Yeah, and Sensei's Divining Top, the post-Terminus play from Joe. So on board, both players with 3 lands. Joe Lossett with Counterbalance Top.
This is really amazing here because Joe, the control deck operating off of 3 lands this whole time, dealing with threats. That's how powerful Terminus is. The 1 white miracle cost to put
it's huge.
All creatures on the bottom of their controllers' libraries or owners.
Right, so Max appears to be casting another copy of Delver of Secrets. He's tapped a Tundra.
And if it seems like he's cast a lot of Delver Secrets, he has. They could be the very same ones.
Exactly.
That's one of the quote-unquote problems with Terminus, is with all the shuffle effects, it's hard to run your opponent out of threats, which is why it's important for Entreat the Angels to do so much work.
So, what's that interaction with?
I'm not sure what happened right there.
So Delver of Secrets was on the stack. Joe flipped Wear and Tear off the top. Does that converted mana cost make any sense? Now, Ricky, you.
So, catch me up on what happened, because I kind of looked away. He cast a Delver of Secrets. They revealed a Wear and Tear
off the top, and then there was a Stifle from Max, and Joe flipped Wear and Tear again. Wear and Tear, as far as I understood it, what's the
let's look at Counterbalance real quick. It's been a while since I've looked at that card. Counterbalance, reveal the top card of your library. If you do, counter that spell if it has the same converted mana cost as the revealed card. So what Counterbalance does is it asks, what is the converted mana cost of Wear and Tear?
Right, so that's the card that was on top. So the converted mana cost of Wear and Tear, I would think it was 3.
The converted mana cost of Wear and Tear is 2 and 1.
Okay, so you could actually use... So that's how he did it then. So he reveals and says Tear.
But it's...
So it counters Delver of Secrets off. Tear counters Delver, and when Max tries to stifle the Counterbalance trigger, it counters Stifle. Yeah. And I believe that's what we saw Joe do there with his Counterbalance top.
Yeah, so that is what happened, yeah.
Okay. So I think we're good.
Yeah, we are fine.
And we can have the players continue. That was odd, and I'm glad we kind of cleared that up, because I was mistaken. I thought the whole converted mana cost thing of the split cards and the fuse cards is a little confusing. So Jace the Mind Sculptor now on the table from Joe Lossett. He is going to immediately plus Jace using the Fate Seal method. This is the Fate Seal option. This is not making Max's attacking creatures -1, -0 like our other 4-mana Jace. But he finds a Wasteland on top and says, yeah, you can keep it. So Max draws it and plays it for his turn.
Yeah, sorry about that, Joey. Just had a little... I wasn't sure what happened. They cast their things so quickly.
And here you see the Wear and Tear is still on top, so Max attempts to resolve Stoneforge Mystic, and this time he says there's Tear on top. Wasteland from Max is going to take out a Tundra from Joe. And Joe's going to go ahead and spin his top. Looks like on his upkeep, he's going to leave the Wear and Tear on the top. He draws another card, leaves Wear and Tear on top. Those split cards working that way makes them pretty valuable, I think, in these Counterbalance.
Let me just explain real quick for everyone what that interaction is. When you ask for the converted mana cost of a split card, if you just ask, what is its converted mana cost, it is Wear and Tear is 2 and 1, so the total is 3. So its converted mana cost is 3 if you just ask, what is it? If you ask for a specific value, which is what Counterbalance is doing, it's asking, is your converted mana cost the same as this card? Okay. Then you look at both values independently, and you say, so with Delver Secrets, you say, is your converted mana cost 1? Wear says no, Tear says yes. And as long as you get back 1 yes, then you're fine.
Wow, yeah. Yeah, that's really interesting. So that's what happened there, and that shows you the power of these split cards in this matchup, and they don't even need to be cast. So Joe Lossett takes game 2 on the back of Jace the Mind Sculptor and a Wear and Tear on top of his library alongside Counterbalance top. Joe, because while Ricky was explaining that, basically Joe just was going to continue to Fate Seal Max, and Max scooped.
Yeah, Max choosing to scoop because there's less than 10 minutes here on the clock, even though he is the aggro deck. against a control deck, 10 minutes might not be enough. He wants to make sure that they have a chance to play a good game 3 and either reach a natural conclusion or reach a point where it's obvious who's going to win.
So there is no point that wear and tear's converted mana cost could be considered 3, even though they're combined. It's 3, right? So it couldn't like if he cast Geist of Saint Draft, he couldn't flip wear and tear and be like, well, now it's 3.
Correct.
Okay.
It is 2 and 1, but that is.
But it's not 3.
It is not 3.
Okay, got it.
It is only 3 if you ask what is its converted mana cost. Something like Dark Confidant. So technically, Dark Confidant, you lose 2 life and 1 life.
Right.
But it's 3 life total.
Okay, that makes sense. So I'm looking at Max's deck and thinking how locked he is under counterbalance top with a wear and tear on in the top 3 cards. He's got 2 Geist of Saint Drafts that wouldn't be countered by wear and tear. He's got 3 Force of Wills. I'm just looking at the main deck at this point. 3 Force of Will that wouldn't be countered by wear and tear, and Batter Skull that wouldn't be countered by wear and tear. His main deck, otherwise, wear and tear on top of the library counters everything. Sideboard, he gets a Sword of Feast and Famine that wouldn't be countered if he were to hard cast it, and an additional Force of Will, but that's it. So he's got very few cards that aren't automatically countered. If you've got counterbalance top and wear and tear is on the top of the library, it essentially counters Max's entire deck.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna put some wear and tear in my Miracle deck. I mean, it seems really good in this matchup. It's really good anyway.
It seems good in a lot of matchups.
Yeah. It's also a good card when cast. So,
yeah.
As we saw.
3 mana to destroy 2 things. I mean, those types of effects in the past have cost a lot more. Joe thinks for a while and goes for a mulligan.
Yeah, it looked like one of those really iffy keeps if he had kept it. He did have to really think about it, but the problem with mulliganing here is it's taking time off the clock, and it's time that he could very well need very badly. As you mentioned, Entreat the Angels being a way for Joe to win quickly, he may need that a lot at this point in the match. With
yeah, it's weird to think that a shorter clock may favor the Miracles deck. Is that even possible, Joey?
It's possible. I mean, if he can get an Entreat the Angels to resolve early and get a couple of 4/4s out, that's a pretty quick clock, especially considering the fetch lands that are likely to be cracked. So you could have a 2-turn clock with just 2 4/4s, depending on how many fetch lands and Force of Wills have already happened. So Tundra into Brainstorm for Max Tietze.
Okay, so Joe starting off with an island, and it's surprising to see a player like Joe, who plays this deck all the time. This is his deck. I'm sure he just keeps it on his mantle at home. And he's playing an unlimited, or I guess that's a revised.
Looks
island.
like a revised island. Maybe he started playing in revised, and it brings back a lot of memories for him.
That is possible, yeah.
That's for me. White bordered lands. That's what they do for me. Like I started
nostalgia.
playing in revised. Yeah. So.
Well, you know what, Joey? A lot of Magic players out there these days have nostalgia for Zendikar full art lands. That's where they started playing. Game has really taken off recently.
Those are some beautiful lands as well. So.
And that is also true. Max Tietze sacrifices a Scalding Tarn. Gets a Volcanic Island.
So a turn 1 Brainstorm from Max, a turn 2 Ponder from Max, and now
looking for
possibly
some aggression.
Going to cast yet another Ponder here. He's got one there, and no, it's a Grim Lavamancer. And Joe says, I'm going to Brainstorm. Looks like Mystic Gate, Flooded Strand, and Venser, I want to say. I'm not quite sure on the Venser, but it was Mystic Gate, Flooded Strand on the top. He's going to put back, looks like Red Blast and a land.
Mystic Gate is really an interesting card for me to see play in Legacy. In the history of Magic, so many different lands, dual lands that produce 2 different colors, and yet Mystic Gate is the one that's called upon because of the color requirements of this deck. You often need double blue, you often need double white, sometimes you need triple white.
So Counterbalance is the play from Joe on his second turn, and he resolves it. Grim Lavamancer going on the attack for Max Tietze, knocking Joe to 19 there. And a Geist of St. Traft is the follow-up off of a Wasteland as the third land drop from Max. So Joe facing down formidable force, I'd say, in the form of Geist of St. Traft and Grim Lavamancer. He's going to brainstorm for the second consecutive turn here. Looking for an answer.
No flip from the counterbalance. Joe didn't know the top of his library from the brainstorm. Let's see if we can track what he puts back here. Jace the Mind Sculptor, and then a white card was second. And a Flooded Strand now, so he can reset the top of his library and also get a white source, setting up for a Terminus.
In the meantime, he's going to take a pretty big hit from Geist
Pikachu!
Yeah. I didn't realize that's what Geist of St. Traft did.
Pika dealing 4 damage there. And the Grim Lavamancer attacking as well.
And knocking Joe to 12. Max making quick work of Joe Lossett if he can't find an answer.
That Wasteland being in play is very interesting because Joe knows what the top of his library is. Has a fetch land in play.
We're going to see a Ponder here from Max.
Joe's
and Counterbalance finds Wear and Tear. There you see it pretty much counters everything. Counters the Ponder. And Joe is actually going to go ahead and crack his fetch land because despite Wear and Tear countering everything, or almost everything Max can do, it
not
does
good
not
against
deal
the
with
board.
anything on the table.
He's going to get a Plains. Knock on your deck this time, Joe. Knock. Knock
The
hard.
Other thing is he probably wants that Wear and Tear in his library rather than in his hand at this point because it can be live. He doesn't have top to float it there.
No miracle, but an Engineered Explosives can buy some time.
Right, it can kind of gain him 4 life if he wants to play it for 0 and kill the Angel.
Yeah, and he finds another fetch land.
We are currently in turn 0, according to our director.
So chooses not to cast the Engineered Explosives. Going to take another big hit here, up to 7 damage.
There you see Geist bringing along the Angel and Grim Lavamancer also coming across for 1. So that's it's going to knock Joe to 4 or 3 if he's going to crack a fetch land. We're going to see what happens here. Looks for... Oh, he's got Venser. So Venser can bounce the Angel, block the Geist of St. Traft.
But surely Max has been holding on to something here.
He has a Daze, so Joe may not be able to resolve that Venser. Yeah, it looks like Venser's just not going to resolve. Max is going to, I think, hard cast Daze, or unless he's got a post-combat spell to cast.
He may add the mana and then return the island.
Or then return the island, yeah.
And use the mana to cast something like a Brainstorm.
Yeah, Max definitely has answers. He's also got Force of Will in hand, so...
He's thinking about hard casting.
Yeah, you see him keep grabbing 2 lands, and then 1 land, and then 2 lands. He's actually going to go ahead and take the opportunity
so he's going
to use
Tear
on Counterbalance. Blind Flip shows Tundra on the top, so Counterbalance goes away. Now we see Daze. It's going to Daze the Venser, and it looks like Max is going to run away with this one.
Yeah.
Joe
And that was a nice play there, doing the Tear first to see if the way was clear for the Daze to resolve on the Venser. Checking that, either the top card of the library is going to be a 1 and counter the Tear, or you're going to destroy his Counterbalance.
So Joe already knows the top of his library is a Tundra. He draws it for the turn. He is going to have to find an answer here. He's going to Brainstorm.
Has to be Terminus right here. It is Entreat.
Yeah, he finds an Entreat the Angels.
Not enough
in the top
mana.
3.
So Max Tietze, it looks like he is on the verge of winning this match and going to 8-1.
Yeah, this is a tough one for Joe. He's got so many answers in the deck and can't find a single one. You saw him do double consecutive terminuses in game 2, and he can't find a single one here.
In the background, if you heard that at all, we are not in the convention center next to a cheerleading convention, as this so often happens at Magic tournaments. That was actually the judges for the Standard Open. They are getting ready to fire that event. We will find out in just a bit what the attendance of that is, as Joe extends the hand, says, "You got this, Max." Max Tietze moving on to 8-1, possibly in a position